You can't get what you want when you still are who you are. You have to change who you are to get what you want, right? You literally have to change your thoughts to align with what you want. If your thoughts aren't aligning with your want, if you're battling yourself, you're never going to get the right result. It's just not going to happen.
Well, welcome to this Generation Youth podcast. I am the host, James McLamb, and I'm here with one of the presenters from our recently Uniting the Next Generation Summit, one of my wife's favorite ones. My wife wanted me to make sure that I said that. Coach Sherry Winn, how are you doing today, Sherry?
Amazing. Amazing. I think that when you believe that you're doing amazing, you will always be amazing. So I start the day like that. It's an amazing day.
Well, I appreciate that. And I wholeheartedly agree with that concept as well. And I love the things that you shared with us on Summit. We'll go into that a little bit, but our audience, they get tired of James introducing and talking about people. They would love to hear from you about you. So if you wouldn't mind, take a couple minutes and introduce yourself to our audience.
Okay. Well, I'm a two-time Olympian, national championship basketball coach. I was an All-American athlete in college, a valedictorian in college, and I coached basketball, college ball for 23 years. And then the last 12 years, I created my own company called the Winning Leadership Company. And so what I do now is I speak. So I do keynote speeches. I do leadership training and team building trainings, and also executive coaching.
And tell them what sport that you participated in the Olympics.
Okay, so this is a sport a lot of people won't know about. Maybe you won't know, but it's called team handball. It's not played in the United States very much. It's big in like Europe, like Eastern Europe and Western Europe. It's big in Norway, Denmark, Holland. It's also huge in like Korea and things like that. But it's like soccer using the hands or water polo on land. So it's a very fast-paced game. And unlike soccer, soccer's like, in the game is like 2-1. The end of a handball game is like 28 or 29 goals. So it's a lot of goal scoring. So a little bit more fast action, fast paced game than like soccer or water polo.
Yeah, when yours aired, it was the Monday of the first week of the Olympics, the Summer Olympics this year. And for those of you who don't know, there was Olympics this summer. And Jeff Hagee, who was one of the other hosts of the summit, would send me an update saying, "Hey, are you watching this? This is what she was doing. Have you seen this sport before?" And so I caught a few of those things. And you're right, that's a fast-paced game. And I was like, I don't know if I'm following this. It's kind of like, and besides the scoring, just the speed of it was more like hockey to me, because the people constantly moving.
It's really fun. I mean, I wish the United States would do better in it because, and really people say, well, why aren't we better? And I can say one thing, I say leadership. Everything, if you're doing well in something, it's because somewhere along the line, you've got great leaders leading it. And handball just never, I mean, we've just never gotten that kind of leadership that understands how to grow and how to excel, how to involve people. So it's really why. But we'll have another shot in 2028 because it's a host time, it's a host country. So host country gets to get provided team. So we'll see what we do then.
Mm-hmm. Yep, that's true. It is going back to LA in a few years. So. Well, Sherry, your topic that you spoke on, and for those of you who didn't, you'll get a little bit more of a glimpse here. You get like a free bonus of it, was one that really resonates a lot with me. It resonates a lot with me because of the years that I spent in the classroom, the years spending with youth. And it's something that I heard very early on, and that's really about, paying attention to the I am statements that you have, and I can relate a little bit more how powerful it is. I grew up being heavily influenced by what I consider one of the masters and kings and originators of the I am, and that's the late Zig Ziglar.
Mm-hmm.
That's how, the audience knows that's how we got our start. That's how the entire company started, was my relationship with them doing that. And one of his quotes was, "You are what," and this is my favorite one he ever said, "You are what you are and where you are by what goes into your mind. You can change what you are, and you can change where you are by changing what goes into your mind." And so I love that concept. So tell me why we left that open door for everybody to choose what they felt they wanted parents and educators to know. Why was that where you landed? What was it?
Well, I watched, when I was coaching for 23 years, I watched my young ladies on the team. Their struggles were always internal. We thought they were, people want to think it's external, but the struggle is always internal. It's the things you tell yourself. And so, what are you consistently saying to yourself that's going to then become part of your reality? Because it always begins with the mind, because thoughts are things, right? Thoughts are things. So I would watch people struggle, and it's because they had some sort of story they consistently told themselves. I'm not fast enough. I'm not tall enough. I'm not whatever enough is the language they spoke, right? And so I had one player that she would say, "I suck." I'm like, "Courtney, no, 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 don't say that." So she'd go down and she'd shoot a shot, she'd miss it. She goes, "I suck." And then she'd run down and make a turnover and she'd scream, "I suck." I'm like, "Sarah, get in for Courtney." Courtney comes out of the game, "Coach, coach, coach, why'd you take me out?" I'm like, "Because you suck." Right? and so, we become what we think about most of the time. And so when we tell ourselves a story about ourselves, that becomes our reality. You can't tell yourself something 1,000 times and expect a different result. Whatever you tell yourself becomes your truth. And so it's so important, that language that we say, the internal language. I'm not talking about always the external language, but the internal language that we say is going to create what we live.
Mm. When my youngest daughter, who is just finishing middle school, just started high school this week, was going through middle school. I think middle school for girls is, that's where the I am statements are constant. I am ugly, I am horrible, I am talented, I'm good. In our coaching program, we have an I am activity that
Mhm.
the participants, that the
Right.
coaches can use with the coachees. And I gave her the sheet, just a rough copy of the sheet that had all the I ams on. I said, I want you to read these every night. And I went through the whole dad thing, hey, dad works with this stuff. And I was like, this, I could tell she was rolling her eyes. And I was thinking, this is not going to be what's happening. But what I did see in about a week was not that sheet anymore, but post-it notes with every one of those 15 I ams around her mirror so that
Hmm.
she saw them every day. And I was like,
Hmm.
maybe we can drip into this. So how there's so many things to start on this conversation. And when you were speaking, then I was thinking, how does this negativity enter our minds to begin with? Even if we got all this positive parenting and we got people pouring into us, why does it seep in? Why do we allow this into us?
Well, I mean, think about the negativity in the world. I mean, do people come into work or to the classes and they say something like, "Oh my gosh, it was so beautiful this morning. Did you see the sunrise? Did you see the rainbow?" No, they come in and go, "Oh my gosh, there's a wreck. Did you see the wreck?" I mean, we go right to the negative. So, and what is news? News is 90% negative. 90% negative. So people, what are shows on television? I mean, the shows on television are made about conflicts, and they're made about people who have conflicts. And so we watch these shows. So the input of negativity is constant. It's a constant flow. The input of positivity is you have to look for it. You have to, search for people who are positive, and you have to search for, you have to input. You have to literally, say, "I'm going to input positivity into me today. I'm going to avoid, like, I don't watch the news. I read headlines. I don't watch the news. I don't hang around toxic people. So people who are going to, nope, sorry. You're not my friends. I don't want to be around you because you're just inputting negativity." We have to make the conscious effort to input positivity where negativity surrounds us everywhere.
If you were talking and counseling or coaching some adults or parents who are working with youth and they're just saying, look, these kids, I can't get through to them. I
Mhm.
can't help them.
Mhm.
What could be some action steps that we could help them with? Something that's tangible to get them started on this road. Because I believe wholeheartedly what you're saying is we've got to change the inputs.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm old enough to remember what gigo means. You may know what gigo means. Raise your hand on the screen there if you know what gigo. No, I'm not seeing anybody there. Garbage in, garbage out. It was a
Yep.
programming thing of computers.
Yep.
And that's the way we are. If we get garbage coming in, we get garbage coming out. So that's total mindset shifting is only put the pure to powerful and the positive. Such great statements,
Yep.
nice, cute little things to say, but how do we make it work?
Well, one of my favorite activities with my team when I was coaching is we do what we call a positive circle. So we would get around in a circle, and I would say something like, "Tell me one way that you contribute to the team." And we always try to say, "Well, I am." So you couldn't say, "Well, I'm trying," or "I'm gonna to," or "I'm doing better." Nope, nope, nope. It's "I am." You could say, "I'm a great rebounder," or "I'm a great, screener," or "I'm a great passer," or "I'm a great teammate," but you can't say, "I'm trying," or one day I'll be better at. It's got to be as if in the positive. And so we use this positive circle in a lot of different ways. We would say, we're going to go around the circle 5 times, and you're going to say why you love being on this team. And there's no repeats. So one of the things is you can't repeat what somebody else said. So you have to really think about it, right? I love this team because, and if somebody else said, I love this team because, I love playing for this university, nobody else could say that. Somebody had to say something new. So you think about that. If you go around 5 times, you have 12 players, right? Then all of a sudden you got a bunch of positives going around. So we would really focus on things like that. We would help people seek the positive and look for the positive in things. So, and anytime that we had a, negative experience, I'd turn that into a positive experience. So one time we were ranked number one in our conference, and we played the number 16 team in the conference who had not won a game, and we came out with a 1 point victory, 1 point. And so instead of yelling at the team or getting mad at them or beating them up, I said the next day, I brought up, this is back when there were actual tapes, right? Now it's all streaming, but this is actually when there's actual game tapes. And I put the game tape on a piece of cardboard in the middle of the floor. And I said, ladies, we're not going to watch this film. That's not who you are. This is just not who you are. But I do want to get rid of it. We're not ever going to talk about this game after today because this is not you. But what I want you to do is we're going to destroy this game film. And I want you to stomp on it. And when you stomp on it, I want you to tell me what you learned from this experience. Right. So we destroyed that tape. Everybody's like, hit, bam, I'm always going to be ready for any opponent that I've ever faced. Bam, I'm always going to do my pre-game ritual. Bam, I'm never going to, like, they just like they did. And we just destroyed that. Right. We just let it go. Rather than focusing on the thing we didn't want, we focused on what we wanted. And we went out and run the rest of our games and won the conference outright. So it's really focusing on the positive. What are you going to take away from something that, that was a negative experience? Winning by one against a team who like not won a game all year long, bottom of the conference, and we come out with a 1 point win. So what is it about it that you can learn from? Not what was negative. I mean, I see so many coaches. We're going to run for every turnover you do. So where's your focus? Focus is on the turnover. It's not focused on what you want them to do. You're focusing on the negative. You can't focus on what you don't want and get what you want. You got to focus on what you want to get what you want.
There's so much implication there and stuff. And you learned this yourself firsthand. Your experience with your Olympic experience and stuff. Share some of that story so that the audience who was not on the Ignite can see. Okay, they're just not talking platitudes about something they read in the book. There's actually some meat behind it. Because let's be honest. There's a lot of folks that are in this kind of industry. They're just regurgitating what they read somewhere and hoping somebody will buy their message for them, but they don't have the meat behind it. That's not the case here.
Well, so the sport that I played, because it was not a United States sport, right? It's not a really American sport. We would get coaches. I had coaches from Romania, Czechoslovakia, Russia, Hungary. I mean, I had all these foreign coaches, and they most
Wait. This was mid-'80s when you were having these Eastern Bloc countries?
yeah, mid-'80s.
All right. Some of you who are old enough to understand the implications of that, need to understand that's hard.
Well, they didn't understand our culture, right? They didn't understand who we were, so they were coming in with their mentality. But I was trying to think of how many times that I got constructive feedback, like over the course of 7.5 years that I played. And, probably I can do it on one hand. I really could do it on one hand. I mean, most of what I heard was, Sherry, you're stupid. Why you play this? Sherry. Or, I went to a Hungarian coach once, and I said, hey, coach, we've got like 80% of our team out with overuse injuries. I mean, we might want to look at maybe tapering down a little bit and letting people recover. And he goes, who are you? Nobody. You're nobody. Why you try to coach? You're not coach. So, this was the typical reaction that I would get from my coaches. And I know that even though I was really smart, and when I was smart, I was a valedictorian of the college. So, you're not a dummy if you can do that. But they would tell me I was stupid so much that I started telling myself I was. I started living in that same vernacular. Well, how did I play? I mean, did I play like I was smart? No. Did I play at a high level? No. I played like they told me I was playing, and then I repeated that so many times it became my truth. And I saw, like I said, I've seen many people do this. I mean, I did it, and I gave them. This is the amazing thing. I gave them credence to tell me who somebody who I did not respect, like I didn't respect them, but I gave them so much power over me by allowing their words to determine what I thought about myself, which is kind of insane when you think about it. You don't respect the person who's saying it, but you allow them in your head, and then you become what they tell you that you are, even when you don't respect them, and that's just not a really really smart thing to do.
Isn't it Eleanor Roosevelt who said, "No one can make you feel inferior without your consent"?
Right. Without your consent or your permission, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and
we
and
do that
that's
all
a
the time, right? It's something we do, and we don't know that we're doing it, that's why we do it. We're not aware.
That's a great point. And for young people, they don't have maybe the cognitive ability, the experience to
Mm,
take that big perspective and say, "Hey, I am not this,"
right.
because they're
Well,
still
it's
trying to
hard.
figure out who they are.
Well, not only young people, James, it's I work with people who are C-suite executives. They're still struggling with this very same thing, right? I mean, it's the same thing. It's a lot of times something we were told as kids, and you gotta remember, like parents, a lot of times we do things that we think are good, and we're trying to do the right thing. But in trying to do the right thing, sometimes we give the wrong message. So, something like, you'll never be good in math, so you need to focus on this.
Mm.
So the message is you'll never be good at math. Well, then we expect the person to pass the math class after we tell them that you'll never be good at it, right? And so it's something that they then repeat, thousands of times. And what the person's really doing is saying, hey, focus. It's just saying you'll never be good at math. Say, do your best in math. You can do well enough to pass. You can do well enough to make a B. I'm sure that if you put your effort into it, you can do good. Maybe it's not your best subject. And you have so many other qualities. This is
Mm.
not the thing. It's like, and you see this in athletics, right, all the time, that every parent wants their kid to be great in sports. And so they spend thousands and thousands of dollars on a kid that's never going to be the great athlete, right? But that same kid, that same child could be great in so many other things. There's geniuses in so many different areas, and instead of trying to force people to do something they're not good at, let's find out what they're good at and then help them become the best in that or the better in that. Right. And so we get messages, all the time that we take from our parents, and we don't even know we really take them. We just take them and run with them. And that becomes our truth. Right.
That just led me down a road when you said that I hadn't really considered, or maybe I had and just hadn't put it in that put it all together. Is this industry that has developed around training and all these travel teams and pouring this amount of money to produce better
Right.
athletes and our kids is denying them the opportunity to really find where they fit in the world,
Hmm.
because I didn't have those opportunities. There was no travel teams. It was whatever was happening at the school that season.
Sure.
You could go and try it, or you didn't go and try it. And I went to a really, really, really small school. So everybody had to try something. So you figured out really good. That's not my thing,
Yep.
but I still got to be on the team because they got to have this number of people, and we're running out of boys fast. Okay, so somebody's got to be on the team. Football. Everybody made the football team because we need at least 22, and you start counting. There's only 28 in the school. That are seventh and eighth grade, so you kind of had to be on the team. It wasn't a
Yeah. I love it.
It wasn't, but if we'd have been focusing on those things, I believe there have been kids who would opt out,
Yeah. And miss
and
the
in some ways,
experience.
maybe that hurt. Yeah.
Yeah. The experience isn't always about being the best. Experiences, and I saw many parents get so upset, but what can they gain from it? What is the experience? Can you gain something positive? And that goes back to, like, hey, what are you gaining from this experience? What are you really learning from this? Are you learning to deal with conflict because it's something that's going to happen all your life, right? Are you learning to deal with people that maybe, you're not best friends, but you can learn to work with them to achieve a goal? Are you learning, the importance of being responsible for your part and the outcome of something? I mean, what are you learning from it? And I think that we get so tied up in just how many points did you score, or how many assists did you make, or
Hmm.
and my kid's not playing enough. No, well, what else are they learning? So what are we teaching and what are we gearing them to learn? This is what I know about athletics. Like I coached for 23 years. I was a two-time Olympian, so I trained a long time, a long time, twice a day, a long time to do that. And when I coached, I knew 98% of my players, when they walked off the court, were never, ever, ever going to play again, ever. I mean, women, like they walk off the court, they're like, okay, now what's next? I'm gonna have a family. I'm gonna get a job. I'm gonna do this. So what's really important? I mean, what are we teaching them that's going to be lifelong? Because sports, even for great people, I mean, it's not even half your life, right?
Yeah.
Even for the best of the best, it's not even half your life. So if we can learn something else that can be lifelong, then sports are really worth it. But that's up to the coach, and if it's not up to the coach, it's certainly up to the parent. What can you learn from this? What did you learn today beyond hitting a ball or, running or tackling or whatever it is? What did you learn today? I mean, really focusing on those kind of things is so much more powerful because your kid, even if they make it, right? Let's think about it. If they make it to the top of the top of the top, they're still not going to play very long.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. And learning those things to help them achieve their goals, which ties back to one of the things that I'd written down as one of my takeaways from your presentation was, to achieve our goals, we must change who we are and align our beliefs with what we want to accomplish. I found that so simplistic, so powerful, which my audience knows I'm all about being simple because I don't understand complex things. So, that really spoke to me. And as a parent, I want to help convey that to my child.
Right.
I coached baseball uh, for a number of years, from anywhere from t-ball into high school. I coached for a high school team for a while as well, and that was always what we were trying to do. Is, hey, we knew these kids weren't going to play college. I think in my high school team, I think I had two. There was a small private school, so it wasn't doing too much, and we weren't bringing them in a lot. But I love that we got to change who we are and align that, and those I am statements help us change that stuff fast. So that's
Well,
powerful.
I have former players now, and I love this because I was just talking to one of my former players, and she goes, every night before my kids go to bed, we do 10 positive I am statements.
Ooh,
Every night
yeah.
before they go to bed, they have to say 10 positive I am statements. I'm like, man,
Well, that positive circle that you said, I wrote down immediately. That needs to be done for families. That's going to become a new program in our coaching program, is having families go around. Why are you excited about being in this family?
yeah, why do you love being in this family? What's one of the greatest things about being in our family? Well, those are great questions, and so when we lost a game, oftentimes I'd say, the next day we'd get a huddle and I'd say, what's the one thing you learned about from this loss? What did you learn about? I didn't want to punish. That was not because I got punished, as a player. And I would tell you, I didn't want to go back. In college, I had a coach, and, you know, we would have to run a suicide for every point we lost by. And, in the middle of a game, I'd be like, "Oh man, tomorrow's gonna be terrible. It's gonna be awful. Like, oh, it's gonna be terrible." And then the next day, I'd be, all day before practice, I'd be sick to my stomach. And I'd have to run like 25 suicides. I'd just be like sick to my stomach. And I mean, he made me like I learned to hate the game I loved. And I was like, why would we hate something that we were supposed to love? Instead of addressing why did you lose? Like, what was it that we need to work on? What are the things that we need to? So when we lost, I'd say, okay, we need to rebound better, or we need to defend better, or we really didn't defend the pick on ball well. Let's go work on that. Let's improve our skills on that. But instead of focusing on what was wrong, let's fix it. Let's just get better at it. And I think we focus. So you go back to the negative thing. You're saying, oh, you know, how come we don't have more positive thoughts? Well, because people focus on the negative, right? That's what we put our focus on. And you can't. It's like playing a game, and you know this, James. If you're in a game and you're ahead, they're the team ahead, and so you got all the momentum, and then their team starts gaining momentum, and then your team starts playing not to lose rather than to win. Where their focus go? Focus is on losing. And so oftentimes when that momentum shifts and your focus goes to not to lose the game, you lose the game because your focus is on losing, it's not on winning. You can't get a negative. Like you can't go and say, we're not going to do this and get what you want. You have to focus on what you want to get what you want.
That's like a deep truth that parents need to get. Uh, there are a lot of things that we've been talking about. And I keep saying, parents need to work on these I am statements
Yeah.
to themselves, not just for their kids.
Oh,
But if you're having saying 10, when that is story that you talked about, is the parent saying the 10 I am statements too, or is it just
oh
their
yeah,
kid?
she's good. I mean, she really understood it. She got it. She was a player who came in. This is so phenomenal. She's a player who came in and we recruited her for a role player. Like, she'll play a little bit here and there. Her name is Laura. Yeah, we could figure, 5, 8 minutes a game. Oh no, that wasn't Laura's plan. She came in and I told her, your shot's too slow and this is how you need to improve it. We're out finding the gym the next morning, 7 a.m. She's in the gym shooting. We go to practice. After practice, Laura's in the gym shooting, right? She literally changed her shot almost overnight. It was crazy. And she went from being like this person we thought was going to be a role player, this person who was a starter for 3 years and played a major role her freshman year. So, and she knew that the biggest challenge she had was the story she told herself about not being fast. She wasn't
Mm,
very fast, but she happened to be oftentimes the fastest person down the floor.
mm,
So, she really worked on the stories she told herself because we tell ourselves so many bad stories and we tell ourselves a story, but we want a different outcome. It's just never going to happen. You kind of said something that you guys say, but I say this: you can't get what you want when you still are who you are. You have to change who you are to get what you want,
mm.
right? You literally have to change your thoughts to align with what you want. If your thoughts aren't aligning with your want, if you're battling yourself, you're never going to get the right result. It's just not going to happen.
That's on my sheet. That was on the sheet. There were notes that I took on your thing. It was actually it's never. I had 3 quotes down, and that was the big one there at the end, and it was almost verbatim too what it was said there. That's cool. I really like that.
Yeah.
This is the one thing that I thought of, and I think we can land on maybe discussing this one is how about that parent, that coach, that teacher who's discouraged because they're trying to
Yeah.
teach this.
Hmm.
They are pouring into this. They're trying to pour
Hmm.
the powerful and the positive to change their thoughts into the young people they serve, whether it's their children or their students or their athletes, and they don't see anything changing. How can we encourage them and build them up? Because here's the thing that I hear so often from people hearing these wonderful podcasts and stories from these people who've been there, done that. I can't get it to work. You might can, but I can't. So help me out. How do I need to do this?
Well, you got to remember you're planting a seed, right? You got to remember that today they might not hear it, but they might be somebody 20 years later that says, "Oh my gosh, coach, when you said that or when you did this, like I didn't get it then, but now I get it." Like, you gotta remember you're planting seeds, and so when you plant a seed and then you water the seed and you keep watering it, you don't stand over the seed the first day and go, "Didn't grow. Don't see it. Didn't grow. Not didn't work." No, it's the consistency over time, right? And you're also battling like, they're with you for that hour or 2 hours or whatever. You don't know what happens at home. You don't know the messages they're getting at home. And so when they're getting a home message that's not positive, and then you're trying to give them something in an hour to combat those other 17 hours or whatever that they're getting a different message. That's going to be hard, but you're planting a seed and you're giving a gift. And so when you give the gift, once you give a gift, you don't get to determine how somebody uses it. You just gave
Mhm.
it. So your gift is in the giving of it, and then some will, some won't, right? So what? Somebody's going to get it. Somebody will down the line. You're planting seeds, and so your job is to have the faith that as you plant the seed and you water the seed, that eventually it will grow, right? And it may not be under your tutelage at that time, but you're doing something that's really cool. You're planting something. You're offering a gift, and then some will take it.
Wow. Well, how can our audience connect more with you so they can, glean from your experience and also get inspired some more?
Well, you can find me at thewinningleadershipcompany.com. I'm always happy to have a conversation with anybody. Like, people email me and say, "Hey, would you mind, having a conversation with me?" Absolutely. Love to have a conversation. Love to share a conversation with you. If you're looking for maybe a webinar for your team, and I know a lot of people are saying, "Well, I just can't afford it." Well, always happy to talk to you about, what's affordable for you. I have books out there. The last book I wrote was called Winning Leadership: The 7 Secrets to Being a Truly Powerful Leader. You can find that on Amazon or 999 other locations. So, yeah, so, I have a YouTube channel. I have, like I said, my website. Just, please. A lot of people say, "Oh, she'll never answer my email." Well, you don't know till you try. And you're already
That's
saying if she won't answer it, you're probably right because you won't do it. You have to do it, right? You just ask because you don't ever know what that means. And so I'm happy, really, really. Look, I want people to find the joy. I want them to find that peace. I want them to find the happiness. And so, it's my mission to help people get there.
Mm. I can see that book that you just mentioned over your shoulder on the.
Hmm.
For those of you who are listening, you need to come and find it on YouTube, and you can see the book as well. And audience, all the links to her website and the books will be in the show notes. So if you are listening, go to your favorite podcast app and you'll find it there. If you're watching this on YouTube, you know the drill. Just look down and hit more, and all that stuff will come up. So, Sherry, thank you. It was a joy to have you on the summit. It was a great way to kick off the week, and there's an ego thing about me on the first day because Tammy Matheny, who's one of the hostesses, arranges what day people do, and she always puts me on the first day. And so when I get to see folks' view counts and stuff, and somebody has higher than mine, it kind of makes me mad. And you were always higher than mine. And I was like, what is going on here? And my wife was like, it's probably me. I've watched it 5 times today. I'm like, stop watching hers and watch mine.
I love your wife. I love your wife, by the way. I don't even know her, but I love her. Thank you.
Well, the Positive Circle, she coaches a cheerleading squad for middle school. And I wrote that down on my notes. Look, see, I do take notes, people. I'm going to encourage this as a part of her, process of working with these young athletes as they go through their year, because they definitely need that aspect of it as well.
And sometimes the other thing about that is so cool. Sometimes people just say, can we just have a positive circle? Because I want to share what happened this weekend. And so I'll say, okay, we'll have a positive circle. Tell me one good thing that happened to you over the weekend. And so people get to share like something great that happened to them. And also when you're listening, you get to hear something that you can talk to that child about or that person about. Like you go up, I can say, well, tell me more about that. And so that shows your interest and your care about what they care about.
Mm. Well, thank you again for being not only a part of the summit, but a part of this podcast. I love the synergy that I'm feeling here. It's been a joy for us to talk today. And audience, listen, if you've stuck with us this long, you've obviously found a great value in what we're saying. You've not turned it off yet. So please like and share, comment and share on this. And I guess the most important part of that is the sharing, because someone that you know doesn't know about this podcast, this episode, and they need to hear it. So let's get this message out as much as we can. And thank you, Sherry, for your time today.
Thanks, James.
And thank you, audience, and we'll see you again very soon.